Good evening. I call to order the 821st meeting of Laurel's Historic District Commission. The qualifications of the members of the commission, the staff of the commission, and any consultants used are on file with the city and are hereby made a part of each and every application heard today. The guidelines and procedures adopted by the commission are also made a part of each and every application. Each application heard today is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing a precedent for any other application. Brooke, would you please call the roll?
Chairman Hayes.
Here.
Mr. Clapoon.
Here.
Councilmember Les.
Here.
Ms. McPhee.
Here.
Ms. Lubinecki.
Here.
Ms. Frazier. Ms. Rambo. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Agenda item number 2 is the approval of the minutes of the regular HDC meeting held on April 16th, 2019. We have a copy here before us. Please voice any corrections or additions or subtractions, if there are any.
I move we approve the minutes from.
Okay. Brooke, we have a motion to approve the minutes from Ms. McPhee and a second by Ms. Lubinecki.
Ms. McPhee.
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki.
Yes.
Mr. Clapoon.
Abstain.
Councilmember Les.
Yes.
Chairman Hayes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Agenda item number 3 is HDC 072-2019 for 505 Prince George Street, submitted by Sulema Hernandez. Request approval to construct a new walkway 5 feet by 18 feet using red and charcoal pavers. Also construct a 4-foot wooden fence along the gravel alley in the rear of the property, which will be painted white. This item was, by the way, was tabled from last month. Do we have a speaker here? Yeah. Ms. Hernandez? Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. So, give us a little overview of exactly what you're doing with the house.
So they want to do a pathway up to the house, and in the backyard there's fence now, but yeah, there's a fence now, and then in the back it's not closed. So they want to close out that fence.
Okay. And with the same type of fencing?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay. Now the walkway seems to have bricks there already. They seem to be covered by, maybe overgrown a little bit.
Okay, so there is a walkway that is covered by grass. So they would completely remove that and add a completely brand new.
Okay, that's a good starting point for discussion, I think.
So I live across the street, and I've met your husband, and he told me the same thing, and I got a very good look at the walkway. And we like to keep things the way they were originally. So all the bricks are there, it looks like. Ideally, we would like to see you reuse, I think, those bricks and not new bricks, because the new pavers, don't look like any part of the old house.
If we were to keep using the ones that are there, would we have to ask for permission again to?
Well, we would give you permission to redo the brick walkway with the bricks that are there, probably.
Yeah, probably, and it even potentially could be an in-kind, what we call in-kind. Since if you take the bricks up and just build up underneath of it, so raise it up or try and get it so that it's not it doesn't get overgrown again. And then just use those same bricks, it would actually be less expensive, too.
So dice que te dieran permiso el walkway en una parte y levantarlo y limpiar.
You're willing to do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Excellent.
fantastic.
Great. That's not that.
So the current. So we're off walkway.
Yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
So the fence, she said that it would be a wooden fence, one in the back.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's a fence next door. Is that what you want to match? Or you were just going to, because I don't think it's
Yeah, I don't think that's
the same.
We would match it.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's imperative. This is
No.
what the one that you said you wanted in the they sent us. This is the one you want. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one you wanted to do. So and this is the back fence anyway, right?
Right.
And you're basically closing. You said there's kind of a gap, so I assume that you just want to close the fence in. Yeah. So that's fine.
I move we approve HDC 072-2019, approving the fence as presented and the walkway using the bricks that are already there.
And I would second that with just an amendment that they would reuse the bricks or a brick in kind if there aren't enough bricks, if they're broken
Yes.
up or need replacement, that you would use an in-kind brick to match what's existing there, if it can be matched.
There are quite a few in the neighborhood, probably.
Algo idéntico.
Okay, great, thank you. Brooke, we have a motion by Ms. McPhee to approve and a second by Mr. Clacoon.
Ms. McPhee,
Yes.
Mr. Clacoon,
Yes.
Councilmember Les,
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki,
Yes.
Chairman Hayes,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you very much for coming.
Good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Okay. Agenda item number 4 is next. HDC 074-2019 for 1105 Montgomery Street, submitted by Christopher Erdle. Request to replace 2 front entrance doors, each with new decorative transom windows, and color of doors will remain the same, maroon. However, the style of the doors will be different than existing. Good evening, Mr. Erdle.
How's everyone?
We're good, thank you. Tell us about your door.
Well, the original doors are, I think they're an inch and a quarter anyway. They're very.
So
thin.
these aren't together, they're separate. They're
They're
separate.
together. There's,
Oh, they
there's
are
a
together.
parlor door, and then there's a front door that's perpendicular. That's what you call it.
Oh, okay, but they're not butted up against each other. They're
Not really. They're
separate.
separate. They're-
Right, okay.
separate by a corner.
They're close to each other.
They're close.
Very close to each other. You see them both at the same time, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so there are two they're very thin doors, and they're very, easy to bust into because they're so thin. The panels are so thin, so we've decided that we'd like to have a standard 1.75 door for security. And at the same time, we're going to go ahead and put the decorative features in there that are not there now. Although the transoms are clear, I have one transom over my parlor door, which is clear now. The other one, my wife made a stained glass number for it.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to come back out. So the new back up 1 minute. The new doors have clear transoms, and we're going to put this decorative thing over top of the clear to make sure it's the same look as before.
And so you can read your street number?
Yeah. That's the only street number I have right now. Well, there's a sign out front with a little mosaic number on it. That's it. So the only difference is there's two lights at the top of the old doors. There's going to be two lights in the new doors, but they're going to be on the side. So they're going to have the decorative lead glass treatment that Pella offers.
Gotcha.
They're also replacing the back door, but that's not seen from the street. So doing all three doors all at once.
Is your back door going to be the same kind of door?
No, it's got a bigger light to it. Bigger. It's a full light. It's a half light door. Yeah, but it's paneled as well. So it doesn't look. The new one will look. It will look exactly like the old one. No difference. So as you can see in the picture, this has the two lights that are instead of being on top like the original one. These are on the side in the front panels. Where's the original picture?
So were your original doors not actually exterior doors, or are they exterior doors?
They were carrying, but they're so old that they, people didn't worry about security back in the 40s or whenever those doors were. The 30s and the 40s, whenever they were used. They're like interior thickness doors. They are. Yeah. But no, they're exterior doors. It's just, as you know, I've been there for plus 40 years, and they were there when I got there.
Right. Mr. Chairman,
So for efficiency's sake, thermal efficiency, security, and the added decorative features, why we're changing the doors.
Are they wood doors? Or wood?
The new ones, the old ones are wood doors. The new ones are fiberglass, but they have this wood look to them.
Mm-hmm.
Wood grain look. You can see you have this.
and you're going to paint the maroon again. Is that what you were saying?
Same color, yeah. So do you have the same picture I have?
Yeah.
You can see it's wood grain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It'll have that black, probably that black or a brass.
And this is going to be the transom?
Yeah, that's in these pieces here.
Oh,
No, that's not the transom. That's these pieces here.
Yeah, I think that's the.
That's just a blow up.
The transom.
Oh, the glass.
no.
No, there's no transom here. There's no pictures. But you said the transoms are going to be, one is going to be clear and one's going to have your street number on it. And it's a stained glass.
Stained glass, that something the wife made way back when.
Well, Denise is very talented stained glass, so.
She sounds all the way around, yeah. I'm sorry, I have a picture of my phone, but I thought
I think we can.
transom would have
Live with
had
the
that
transom.
handsome picture for you. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve HDC 074-2019.
I'll second that.
All right. First, we have a motion by Ms. Lubinecki to approve and a second by Mr. Clacoon.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes.
Mr. Clacoon?
Yes.
Councilmember Les?
Yes.
Ms. McSaney?
Yes.
Chairman Hayes?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thanks,
Thank you
Chris.
very much.
Bye.
Good luck.
On to agenda item number 5, HDC 075-2019 for 28 Post Office Avenue, submitted by Glynnis McPhee. Request to replace fence around front yard, and up to the current backyard fence will be replaced by a 3.5-foot picket fence to be painted white. Hello,
Hello.
and you are Glynnis McPhee?
I am.
Okay, welcome. So tell us about your fence.
So it's actually going to match what's currently in the front of the house,
Mhm.
the white picket in front of the house, except it's going to be a little shorter and meet the current standards of the 4 feet. I think what I have now is 4.5 feet.
Okay.
But it will have the same, I forget what it's called, the French top. Yeah, and the posts will also have that as well. And then I would like to replace the fencing on the side. It's metal and it has very old posts. They're actually falling down. And the metal is has come apart in some places, so it's leaking. It's kind of dangerous, actually.
Right.
So I was going to replace that with the same kind of fencing and paint it white.
You have quite a large lot, actually, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Noticed that this morning. I mean, ironically, the metal fencing that you have is sort of historic, but I'm not suggesting you keep it, but I'm just...
Yeah, I don't even know
Keep
where to
a
get
piece.
that. No.
Keep a piece as a souvenir or as an example. I mean, seriously, just to do it. But
Yeah, it almost looks out of character nowadays.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I know that it was there before my neighbors moved in, and they've been there for 40 some
Right.
plus years. So,
I think it's
but it is broken in a lot of places. So it's
before the days of the long chain link fence, and it's certainly better looking than that. But we're glad you don't have that. But yeah, and I think I believe that your house was originally, I mean, it's one of the more historic houses on the block there. I think that actually Horace Capron actually owned that house at some, like in the 1840s.
Oh, really? Because when I bought it, I bought it because it's a historic house and it's from 1830, but I can't find any other information about it. I got the file from the city office and it goes back just to the 90s. I don't have any other information about
Someone many years ago had done some research on that and had come up with that was one of, I think, a previous owner. Actually, that house had been owned by Horace Capron. He owned several of the guy who built some of the mill houses further up near the museum, had also owned some of the houses on Post Office Avenue at one
it. Oh,
point.
okay. Is there a place I can get information? I'd love
Would
to
the
have
museum
that.
have any?
The museum might have some of that. We
Okay.
might have some of
I know
that.
my parents went down and asked about it, just, because they were visiting and they went down to the museum and I
We
don't
weren't
think they were
helpful,
able
huh?
to get anything.
It's okay. You can also do some land record search. Were you able to do any of that?
I tried online, but it's not, my specialty, so I know, I'm
There's
sure
a way,
there's
I mean,
tips
I'm
to
not
it.
an expert at that, but you might be. So I know, and I think that was one of the. I mean, I haven't done the research on that house, but I did the Horace Capron, and someone had told us that was one of his properties. He owned a lot, like I say, he owned a bunch, and then he went bankrupt in 1850, so he had to sell everything off. So just a little factoid about your house.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you.
I move we approve HDC 075-2019 as presented.
I second.
Clerk, we have a motion to approve from Ms. McSeany, second from Ms. Lubinek.
Ms. McSeany,
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki,
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon,
Yes.
Councilmember Les,
Yes.
Chairman Hayes,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you very much for coming this evening.
Thank you. Have a
Good
night.
luck.
Agenda item number six is next, HDC 080-2019 for 210 11th Street, submitted by Sergio Castaneda on behalf of the owner. A request to install new fence to side and rear of property 5 feet high, pressure-treated wood with 3 gates. Hello.
Hello, I am Carrie Pennell. I'm the owner.
Oh,
I just
great.
bought this house in March, so I just moved to Laurel.
Welcome.
Thank you. So the main reason for building a fence would be to have some space for my dog. From this picture, you cannot see where the fence would be. It would be exclusively in the backyard.
Oh, right.
And this house is a 1977 split level that also has a detached garage. And so the idea would be to connect the house and the detached garage with a fence that would be kind of encompassing the most usable part of the backyard.
Right.
It would have gates so that we could easily get in and out, especially with the lawnmower. So a walking gate on the right-hand side of the house, and then one in the back on the, from this perspective, left-hand side, and then a gate that would be big enough in case there needed to be a truck or some utility vehicle come in to do some work or something like that. So, so anyway, that's the idea, and so that's why I'm here to see you today.
You know, Floyd Lilly built that house.
I did not know that.
Now you know it.
Okay. Yeah.
He's still alive.
Is he? Oh, I would love to meet him.
Well, he's down at Dollyland.
Oh,
He
okay.
lives down near Dollyland.
Okay.
He's a local builder.
Dollywood?
Dollywood, yeah.
Yeah, Dollywood. I'm sorry, Dollywood, not Dollywood.
It's interesting. There are other houses that clearly have the exact same design and floor plan, one of which is directly next door.
Yeah, he
But
built
then there are
both
several
those at the
others
same
that
time.
are other parts of the neighborhood.
Amazing what you find out at the HDC meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you planning to stain or paint the fence?
The plan would be to stain it something very neutral, not changing the color so that it would remain
Like-
that wood look.
Maybe a clear natural stain?
Like a clear natural. Most of the wooden fences in the neighborhood are very natural looking. There's a variety of different fences in the neighborhood, but we'd want to keep it very natural.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve HDC 080 2019.
I'll second that.
Brooke, we have a motion to approve from Ms. Lubinecki, a second by Mr. Clicken.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes?
Mr. Clapoon?
Yes.
Councilmember Les?
Yes.
Ms. McSeany?
Yes.
Chairman Hayes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thanks so much.
And good luck in your new
Laurel.
house.
Welcome to Laurel. All right. Lucky agenda item number 7, HDC 078 2019 for 324 Laurel Avenue, submitted by Patrice Muya. Request to replace wooden front door to white steel. This is retroactive permission to replace a gray metal roof with black shingles and 15 new double hung windows. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
Please state your name.
This is Patrice Moya.
Okay.
First of all, I bought this house. There was a foreclosure, and no windows, no roof, mold all over the place.
Okay.
And second, I want to correct something. It says request to replace wooden front door to white. No, I want to keep them
Okay.
Excellent.
just
Oh,
change the
good.
color.
Okay.
Oh,
The
okay.
color can be brown or white. It's gonna be so, but still. So it says white still.
Okay, you are going to keep the same, the door that we see,
Yeah, we will replace that. We'll replace the door. It's gonna be the same color, or it can be white, but not
Just-
white still.
Okay. Gotcha.
Gonna be
Okay.
white.
but what?
Thank you for that
but-
clarification.
And is the door,
Damage.
no. The door that's, here, wait a minute. The door style, is that going to be the style that we're seeing?
Yeah, we don't mind if we have that style because it's old. We don't have that, but we are going to replace wooden door. Not
Yeah, the door
White steel.
the door that's there is like it's mirrored on the outside, and then that's which is quite an interesting door, actually.
we
Yeah.
don't find it anymore.
I know.
No.
Have you considered
You're gonna-
keeping the door?
No, we have the same style. If we found that, we are not going to replace the white. So it says wooden front door to white still.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but the style.
Which she's talking about the design
The
of.
design, if we have that design, because the one we have is damaged. you have that design, Home Depot, yes.
Home Depot does not have this design.
Yeah,
No.
this is a very unique
Door.
door.
So when you say it's damaged, is it not fixable?
No.
Because it's a really interesting door.
So if you don't put this design door up, what kind of design door are you going to put in?
I think that's where we're.
That's the one.
That's the one. That's where we're a little confused, I think. So you're not doing the door in steel, but you are doing the door in this style.
This is going to be wood?
What's wrong exactly with the door that's there?
Yeah. If you have a chance, you can stop by the
I
house.
went by there. What's exactly wrong with the door?
The door doesn't close and it's damaged. And then when we have,
How is it damaged?
it's that was between when we want to close the door, it's not fixable. And which why we did bring people over there, and then they say no, they cannot. It doesn't close.
I'm trying to figure out exactly what's wrong with the existing door that's there. Forget the frame for a minute. What's wrong with the door?
The guy came in. He said it doesn't close like now. The door cannot.
Yeah, I know. That's a frame problem.
And the frame, he said to.
Forget the frame. What's wrong with the door? That's what we're trying to get to.
It doesn't close. The door is damaged. And then when we asked him how much it's gonna cost, and then he said it's gonna cost a lot of money. Then having this door, which cost almost $300 or $200.
I don't see anything wrong with the door that's there. I'm telling you. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out exactly how the door itself is damaged. I understand the frame. A lot of frames around doors in Laurel that doors don't close because of
If we
frame.
can fix that door, we keep it. We don't have any problem with the door. Personally, I don't have any problem with the door. If you can go over there and do it, it's fine.
Well, nothing is cheap in the historic district. Let me just say that. Okay? And I'm trying to figure out exactly what's wrong with the door. This is a unique door. It didn't appear to be damaged to me. I understand it not closing because there's probably something wrong with the frame.
Wait, did you put the door in?
No.
Oh, that was there before. Okay.
You'd find everything. But to fix the door, it's going to cost a lot of money having it. I mean, that's.
Okay, so to have it rehung
Yeah.
is what needs
It's
to
a
be
frame
done.
problem.
And then
Okay.
this door cost almost $200. And the other door cost, I don't know, fix it and everything. But, yeah, because this house cost me up to $150,000 fix.
Right.
The structure is bad, the foundation is bad, everything is bad. That's why I said you can store by the house.
I'm going to come back to the original question. What is wrong with the door that's damaged? It's not the door, it's the frame that has to be
Now,
fixed.
not the technician. According to the technician, the budget was so high to keep that door, to fix it, repair it. That's why they came up with this. I can keep the door if you can help
No,
me
I'm not
fix
going
it.
to do anything. I'm just saying there's nothing wrong. When I look at it, it doesn't appear to be anything wrong with the door. I understand the frame. The frame could be buckled, it could be warped, it could be all kinds of problems. But the door itself is a unique door. And what you're replacing with is not unique at all.
Again, I said I'm not technician. I did tell my technician to come in, but the budget was so high. And I keep the door, yes, if you can help me.
Have you come to the city and asked for any door people who fix doors? You know, maybe they might have carpenters or such on the list here that might be able to help you.
I have people over there. I have 3-4 contractors working over there.
Have they worked on old houses?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
People, yeah.
Okay. So and I have another question I need to ask you, and that is, when you bought the property,
Yeah.
did the realtor tell you you were in the historic district?
Oh yes, I'm a realist. I'm a broker.
Okay. So you knew from the beginning
Yeah.
that you were in the historic
Yeah.
district.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make
I
sure.
got all the disclosure.
Good. I just want to make sure that was understood, because we've had some problems with people not knowing that they were in a historic district and they had to get approval for changes. Okay.
So you knew you were in a historic district and you still went ahead and did the work without getting approval?
Oh, no, I did not know that. I did not know a lot of stuff about it.
So you didn't know what an historic
Yeah,
district
what
was?
It mean, yes, what it mean.
Okay, so that's
Yes. And then I have to come here to learn more about it.
right.
Yeah, it's like the problem also we had before just to get the permit. And I told my contractor, hey, we need a building permit. And then the lady, she said, electrical permit. And then the guy said, I need to go to the PG County to get it. I said, no, go to the city. And he said, we don't know anything. I'm a master electrician. I've been working. I said, no, they are asking you to come here for electrical permit, which is different from the one from PG County.
Right.
And he went over there. We spent money for that because he didn't believe me. And when he came here, he said, no, we don't need this from the PG. We need from the city.
Right.
That sounds like his damage.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And he has been working almost 20 years. He didn't know that we needed the approval from here. And we got what's called the stop order.
Right.
Right.
To do the job. He was challenging me.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask, who's the construction firm that's doing this work?
Oh, Jamie? That's the,
I don't see it anywhere on this application, the name of the,
Oh,
Pedro
It's just his
Jamie
name?
Alvarez.
yeah, I just have a name. Is it a company or is it just an individual?
oh, he's a family-owned business, Jamie. The people, they are working over there. I think I did give you the name of
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Does he have a MHIC number?
I don't know.
Home Improvement, Maryland Home Improvement License number.
I'm going to check on this, but that's family business.
Yeah, he should have that advertised and displayed on any paperwork that he would have given you a proposal or anything. Should have his home improvement number on it.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask, has the contractor been in and spoken to the city? No. You have a contractor that didn't know he had to come to the city, said he had to go to Prince George's County?
that was the electrician.
That's the way because you have to get the permit for electrical.
Mm-hmm.
That's we went to the PG County. We got one.
Got what?
We got the permit.
And he told him that it was in the city?
No, I told him that the city wants one from the city, and he said no. We need one, only PG County.
Right, but that was the electrician, not
I understand.
okay.
I don't know what he would get from the county. They would tell him to come back to the city.
And that's what I'm saying. My electrician, who is the master, did not know me. He has been working.
If he's a master electrician and doesn't know if he's in the city, he's a city licensed. I don't know where he's licensed to do work.
His address says he's based in District Heights.
Huh?
Well, I'm just looking at the address, and it says District Heights for the general contractor.
Yeah,
But
well,
that's not the electrician.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to come back to the original question. The front door does not appear to be damaged. The frame could be warped, the frame could be buckled, there could be a whole bunch of problems. Because when this door was built, it was not built with the frame. They built the frame, then they hung the door inside of it. That's how they used to do things. Okay, take the door out, you rebuild the frame, put the door back in.
Maybe I will, what I can do also, I've been working for the lady. She can give me the list of applicants, and then they can see what.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear what you said.
So he'll consult with the city for maybe a different contractor, carpenter or someone.
We're not allowed to
They
recommend.
can't refer them to
But
anybody.
you have a list of them?
No,
You don't have a list?
they're not allowed to do that.
Oh, okay.
he has to get a contractor, the contractor has to come to the city.
Right, but I believe Prince George's County Historic District,
they have a
MHDC, certainly has a list of potential
I would think so.
vendors that are
Yeah.
available.
That's true.
People.
Because he
No?
said
Yes.
that, he said, you are
I'm-
saying something that we have to contact the city and
That
say,
was me, and I was incorrect. I thought they had a list of potential
No,
work,
they
but
don't.
apparently we don't do that. So, yeah, so you'll have to consult, online, probably find, someone who's familiar with historic, houses and doors.
So we want you to keep the door, is what all this
Okay, I
boils
do
down to.
understand. Myself,
And we understand that it's more expensive than purchasing a new door, but it's a unique door. We try to preserve these things. So that's what we would like for you to do. Do you think you could do that?
Yeah, as I said, I am on
Okay,
your side.
great.
I'm trying to keep the door, but they're telling me that's,
Okay.
and I will
Well,
try again.
that's because contractors often don't want to do the work unless they're expert in older buildings. Do you think, let me ask the commission, do we think that down a community forklift, they might be able to recommend carpenters who are more able to help with a historic door? I think the challenge for the applicant is he doesn't quite know
Right.
where to find someone who can provide that kind of assistance. I mean, you're the person you've been working with. This isn't clearly his area, and so he looks at the door and says, "You should get rid of it." But we know from our experience that
Well-
general contractors generally just kind of say, "Old stuff, get rid of it." Okay, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the
He just
easy
said
way.
he would spend
So,
money.
Mr. Murray, you have given us your email address. I'll tell you what I'll do is I have at home, I have a list, a card that lists, where you can find these type of, contractors who have worked on historic properties. I'll email you that list or that link to that. Okay?
And the other place that I was recommending it's called Community Forklift. Community Forklift. It's in Bladensburg, so it's not that far away. And they actually stock lots of old doors and things like that. And so I don't know if they offer assistance, but they might have some recommended carpenters who could help you too. So we want you to try to fix this.
Yeah.
It's really a unique, if it wasn't such an interesting door, we wouldn't go to this trouble, but it really is. It's a unique feature, so I noticed there's a for sale sign in the house, so I assume your plan is to actually sell the house. And something like this will add to the interest, we think, in the house.
No, I would like to keep the door. I
Yeah.
want to try whatever.
Yeah.
No problem.
So that's one thing.
Excellent.
And I have,
You've already replaced the shingles or
yeah,
the
Yes.
roof.
that was the, we have black shingles there.
Right, so there were leaks, is that,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I sent the pictures.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
was it explained to the applicant that he only gets 50% credit for work that's already done when he comes to the city? Okay. The second thing has to do more with the inspection. Part of it, this house had mold noted in it. It has nothing to do with the historic district, but it has everything to do with the city inspectors. I just went through a house where we had to have the mold remediated. What are you doing about the mold? It's right here in your appraisal report.
Yeah, that was just, no, I did ask the guy, the engineer, give me the code.
That's a special group of people that handle that. That's not regular construction.
Yeah, we are not at that point so far yet. And so they are working outside, they are working upstairs. And,
The mold was
mainly-
inside the house.
Yeah, mold is in the basement. And I did send the pictures of mold inside the basement there.
Okay, I'm worried about public safety. Robert, if you'd go ahead and refer that to our inspection people, because it's right here in the appraisal. And I'm worried about somebody occupying a house when it's resold.
That will be done. That's no problem. will be done, and then we'll send the report.
Well, I want to make sure it gets done because people die from mold. Robert, if you go ahead and refer that, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess the next thing is the windows.
Right.
The windows have already been replaced,
Yes.
and they look like they are the same style as what was there.
Right.
Okay. One thing I noticed, the window in the eave. Are you going to keep? That's going to stay the same, right? You're not going to replace that.
That's on the very top.
The very top window.
The very top,
Yeah.
some of them, they are damaged, really damaged. They don't.
Right,
What-
but
you're
they've already, you're not changing this one that's covered.
At the very
top. Oh, you can see she's pointing to it.
Oh, no, we are not going. We are not
Going
going
to just keep that.
So that's going to stay.
Same color.
Right.
And then I noticed the shutters are.
Everything said the same thing.
What's that?
The front, the color, everything said.
You're going to put the shutters back.
But make sure, you're going to put the shutters back because you took them off.
Yes. They are not going to send any. The only thing they didn't add here that was the driveway. Would like to it like next door. Driveway from the front.
The stamped concrete?
Yes.
Is that stamped concrete?
That's not part of this application, right?
Yeah.
I think that needs to be a separate application, I think, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I did tell them, but I didn't see it.
It's not on, it's not on the written application here. So new frame.
There's nothing mentioned about the driveway.
And also, I just came from the house now. There is a fallen tree on the back. There is a big tree down. I don't know.
If it's down, you can get rid of it.
Yeah.
And that tree there, was one is now down, the one by the garage. And that tree neck, and looks like it can also damage the house.
The one
Very, very close.
But some teeth got another tree that's got to come down too.
Is that on the, looking at the house, is that on the left?
Yes.
Yeah.
One over.
Okay, so that's not on this application either.
Yeah. So so that one, those things, I would just submit new for those. Yeah. And like the tree, it's very possible that could just be an in-kind done. And you won't even have to come before us potentially, if that's all that it is. And
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So,
I got scared when I went over there. Like, you can see the one on the back.
Sure.
And I said, this one can also damage.
well, the fact that the tree can damage doesn't mean it's going to damage.
Right. So if you can remediate any of that by trimming it, that would be, more,
That would be preferable.
yeah, more preferable for us.
Mr. Chairman, I'm also a little concerned, can we go back to the driveway issue here, because I believe, Brooke, you were saying that today is your deadline for the June meeting, is that not correct?
Yeah.
So we're running into a time frame deadline here, because otherwise we're talking July for his driveway, is that not correct?
Yeah, you would not be able to do any of the work until it's presented before the commission and it's approved.
For the driveway?
Can he put an application in tonight, or?
I mean, he could do that. I mean, I don't know. Well, we don't have any application right here. And then you're talking about the tree too. If there's nothing wrong with the tree, you would have to put in there. Now, if it was like an emergency situation, we wouldn't be able to do it in kind, but we need, arborist report, something to that effect that has to go along with it. So if you wanted to combine those two on the same application, but as of right now, it's looking like it'll probably have to be pushed till probably July.
What I said about the tree, because just came from there, that tree fall down, and this one can also fall down because it's very, very close to the house and damage.
A lot of trees can fall down and damage houses.
Yes.
Okay? If in fact it's dead, then you need to get an arborist to say it's dead in writing.
Or
and give that to the
diseased.
city. There's a lot of trees growing next to houses.
Yes.
All over Laurel could fall down. You don't cut them down just because they can fall down. You cut them down because they're dangerous. They're either dead, or in some cases, the roots are growing through the basements.
Right.
Had that occur?
Right, or if it's leaning over,
Yeah, this one
over,
does.
not just growing over, but like leaning, like it's going to fall. But again, you need a certified, arborist.
It sounds to us like you have a full nother application in addition to the materials that are also on here. I mean, if you want us to look at the tree as a possibility, plus your driveway, we've got a full nother 2 major items on an application here. I mean, unfortunately, it's not just an easy, because the driveway alone, I think we'd really need to see what was proposed and things.
Yeah.
The driveway is gonna be just next, like the guy next.
Right,
Yeah,
but
but
I
we don't know
what
what the
that
guy
is.
next door looks like, so unfortunately. So I think you need to make another application, and that may not be possible for today, I don't think.
And if you went home tonight and filled it out online and sent it in, would that
Wasn't your
qualify
deadline
as being in
yesterday,
by
right?
today?
No, because it's business hours.
Oh, business
5
hours,
o'clock
okay.
today.
All right, Mr. Chair. Oh,
What can give exception on that? Just
I don't think. I mean, if I remember correctly, and maybe you two can remind, when I make an application as the applicant, don't I get a copy? Don't you usually send the applicant a copy of what it is that you have on the agenda item?
Typing, right.
On a typed up one, right? So, unfortunately,
they don't send this. Just email. They
well,
email each
I mean,
other.
but you have the
but
opportunity,
did you get a copy of this?
right, to look at it to make sure that it's
No.
what.
We don't.
Yes, we do.
We don't get.
Do you send us an email as applicants? You send us, but you
The
don't
typed
send.
up version.
I'm trying to remember, as an applicant, do you send it?
Okay.
But you didn't put the on your handwritten
The
application.
initial application.
You
Then
did
after
not
that,
put the You did not put the driveway, correct?
The initial application. That's where we don't know anything, and then we start talking. What about this? How many this? How many this? And the final one. Let's say that when I came here, and then they said, "Oh, okay, there's application." Fill out the application. And after they said, "Okay, this can be approved at our level." And this one, we need this, we need that. Are you going to replace the window? Yes. What color? Are you to replace this? What's the color? But the final one, no.
There was no discussion about a driveway. And I never got pictures of what it would look like. Otherwise, it would be in your packet.
But that was email back and forth. I'm talking about the final, like document. Yes. The final. We said, okay, this is the final document. Because that's sometimes when we exchange the email, you may forget whatever over there. But we don't have the final. We said, this is your final.
Right, but none of your applications talked about driveway.
No, we don't have the application. We are emailing each other. When I came here, there is an application at the top. That's I don't know much about it. And then you fill out the application. They said, "Oh, okay. What about this? What about this?" And we start talking.
Right,
And my point is the final one, the final application. After talking the list of stuff, no, I don't have. Otherwise, I'm going to catch up.
So then it was probably your responsibility to then fill out the form for that.
But I don't know anything. I don't know much about the process and. I mean, it's just the same thing with the electrician. He said, I don't know much about it. The process.
I suspect after this evening you will know.
Oh yes, no.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, I'd like, I was going to make a motion.
Do
But would
we
you
have
like to
any
say something?
more discussion? Okay.
Okay. I move that we approve the windows and the roof retroactively. We do not approve replacing the front door. We want the door to stay. We want you to make that door work, please. Have somebody fix the frame so that the door that's there works. And that we take no action on anything else, that you will need to make another application for the other issues that you have with the house, whether it's trees, walkway, driveway, whatever.
I second that motion.
I would just like to amend that motion to add that the shutters will be hung back up on the front of the house.
Fine.
Okay.
Second with the amendment.
Thank you. Brooke, we have a motion by Ms. McPhee to approve the windows and roof retroactively and but not the door, and with the addendum that that the owner will re-hang the shutters.
Excuse me, the shutter issue and paint and everything was in a staff approval.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But they are off the house now, but it's putting the amendment.
Okay.
That they'll be hung back.
That they be rehung.
Okay.
And a second by Ms. Luke.
I want to add something about the shadows. You see those shadows over there? The one I was looking, not the shadows that frame over there, the windows. Those shadows, they don't exist because when some of them they are missing, and we cannot find the same shadows somewhere.
Yes, you can. I'm going to say you can. Okay? I hear you keep saying you can't. You can find the shutters. They're available out there, but they cost money. I've heard what you said.
Yeah, we don't have. We have been looking for the shadows. We are willing to do the shadows. That's fine. But which store are we going to find?
Have
the
you?
shadows? Because you said you can.
Well, let me say this. You can find shutters. Okay?
You may have to go to other places besides a Home Depot or Lowe's. You may have to go to an actual lumber yard that can order shutters and doors and special stuff that you can't find at Home Depot or Lowe's.
It will cost you money.
In addition to which, the place that I suggested to you, Community Forklift, and Second Chance, which is in Baltimore. Now, I know you're based in Fairfax, so you may not be familiar with those, but these are places that people who have older homes that, for whatever reason, they'll bring parts of their homes, it's salvage equipment, so that shutters that might fit this house would be sitting there waiting for somebody to buy at a fraction of the cost, by the way. So even if you can't find them new, a place like Community Forklift in Bladensburg, in Second Chance in Baltimore, and I think down in DC there's some, Upper Marlboro, but I don't know about DC proper. I mean, I'm not familiar even with what's available in Fairfax. You can find those places. On top of which, it's very likely that if you look online and you specify the shutter size that you're looking for, that those are probably available from places that do old house work. I mean, there are a lot of them out there. So I think, as Mr. Colquhoun said, or Mr. Councilman Lutz, it won't be Lowe's or Home Depot.
Yeah, thank you. But next door, we have like everybody there, they don't have shadows. I already spent a lot of money on that. Why I cannot just like that? Yeah, I mean, when you go over there, all of them have shadows. The other guy, yes. Plus, there's no shadow. 2 doors after, there's no shadow. Why can I just...
Okay, let me remind you what I stated at the beginning of this meeting. Each application heard today is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing a precedent for any other application. So when they did it, their application did not set a precedent that you could say, oh, they have it, so I want to have it. You have to, everything we're hearing is based on the property and what's there and what needs to remain and what needs to be replaced, but in kind. In other words, the same.
So you have,
About the shutters,
I know you're talking about the shutter.
next door he has the same thing, no shutters.
Right.
Okay, did you
And I
hear?
have shutters, missing shutters. I already spent a lot of money on that. Why cannot just give me break?
well, I don't,
Okay, it's fine. We understand. This was foreclosure houses over there. This was over there. This was that. Based on that, because
No.
everybody there they have.
Then everyone would want an exception.
Yeah, maybe they came to me. They said, "Hey, we have this," because I talked with them. I said, "Yes, your house is much damaged." And
But we
asked
have
them.
been a little lenient. I mean, you changed the entire design of the roof. You changed it from standing seam metal roof to an asphalt shingle roof, and
But
we're going to approve that for you. You've changed the windows. I'm sure those windows, they were probably wood frame windows, weren't they?
No, I'm telling you, you have to see the house when.
Right. The windows that you replaced, they were wood frame windows, correct?
I don't know, but we did replace just the same thing they were there.
And what you replace them with are not wood frame windows, are they?
no, they're not. So,
So we've been understanding of your situation, but what we're asking is that in that picture the shutters are up, and we would like to have them back up there. The door is unique, and we would like to have that preserved as part of the historic district. So those are things that we're looking for. You know, we're not up here to condemn everything you're doing. We're trying to work with you. But it being in the historic district, there are certain things that we want to try to preserve. There's a certain standard that we want to try to preserve also. I don't know why your neighbors don't have shutters on their house. I don't know if they ever were shutters on the house. I don't know. That's not before the commission tonight, and that's not for us to decide at this point. But what we are asking of you is that you put the shutters back up or put in-kind shutters back up.
Now we go back to the meeting. The application.
So we had a motion, but
We did have a motion. So let me explain the motion again. Ms. McPhee has made a motion to make sure that we have approved the windows and the roof, but not the door. We want you to keep that door, and we had an amendment that says we would like to make sure that the shutters are hung up as they were originally. And this was seconded by Ms. Lubinecki.
Ms. McPhee,
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki,
yes.
Mr. Cocoon,
yes.
Councilmember Les,
Yes.
Chairman Hayes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll look for you again in the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 8, HDC 083-2019 for 316 Laurel Avenue, submitted by Daniel Ford, request to install new 6-foot wooden fence to the left, right, and rear of property with gates on the front and side. Fence will match neighbor's fence. New fence will not be painted or stained. Good evening. You are Daniel Ford. I
Yes,
believe.
I'm Daniel Ford.
Welcome. So tell us about your fence.
We just got a puppy last weekend, so my wife doesn't want it to run out into the street. So
Neither
I
do
want
I.
to match my neighbor's fence behind me and beside me, just down this side from the back of the house. And then from my house over to the Baines's fence on the opposite side.
One thing I noticed in the picture, your neighbors, I don't know if that's their fence or your fence.
The fence to the right side of my house is Bob's fence.
Okay, because normally when they put a fence up, they put the finish side towards.
Inside.
Yeah, well, the finish to the outside.
No, on his finish is on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
Right.
I have the 4x4 posts and the 2x4
Right.
posts
Which you're
in
not-
my
which-
yard.
which
The
is-
finish should be towards your side. Should have been if it's his fence.
Normally, that's what people are doing now. They'll put the finish to the outside, so
Okay.
that people look at it, that, geez, it looks finished.
And so I guess my question to you.
It was here when I got there, so
Yeah,
I had
sure.
nothing to do with that.
That fence you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, but
Right.
my
If you
question.
want me to do my finish on the outside, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Sweet.
So,
As long as my
That was
dog
my
doesn't
question.
run out in the road, I'm a happy camper.
there you go.
you're not going to be side by side with any of your neighbors' fence, correct?
No, I'm going to, on the, of course, they don't show it, the opposite side of the house, in between me and the brick rambler beside there.
Got
There'll be just a short 5-foot fence with a gate
Right. Okay. Right. I just want to make sure he's not putting a fence.
that will match his fence.
Right.
Then I'm gonna come from this corner, the back corner of the house here.
To the shed, right?
Now, to the property line, go down the property line and then over to the shed. The fence at the back, I guess, belongs to Verizon.
Got it.
And it's falling down. I'll just go to the shed, that will keep the dog in the yard.
Is that Verizon property to your rear?
It's Verizon property here to the parking lot on the side here is
Right.
Verizon, and then the building behind me is Verizon.
Robert, maybe you might want to mention that, Mr. Pope, that fence is falling down to Verizon.
We go through a battle with them all the time about just maintaining the parking lot.
Yeah.
Because right now, if you go by there now, the grass is this tall in the parking lot.
That's another thing Mr. Pope can pay attention to.
Well, when they allowed us to park there, I would cut it.
I understand.
Now they came in and put a gate up over the driveway and said we can't park there anymore.
Sure.
Because they had problems with people from Lars depositing trash and.
Understand, understand.
So they've closed it off now.
I move we approve HDC 083 2019 as presented.
And I'll second that motion.
Brooke, we have a motion by Ms. McSweeney to approve, a second by Mr. Quickman.
Ms. McSweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Cocoon?
Yes.
Councilmember Les?
Yes.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes.
Chairman Hayes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
have to
Ford.
do this inside, outside.
That's right.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you
Have
very
fun with the
much.
puppy.
Pardon me?
Have fun with the puppy.
It's great already.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item number 9, HDC 084 2019 for 507B Montgomery Street, submitted by Santos Jose Perez Fuentes. Request to remove portion of front yard brick wall that is leaning up to the point where it is separated from the concrete retaining wall. The applicant wants to redo the brick at separation to clean up the edge and replant front bushes where they were removed. The type of bushes to be determined. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
Jose called me about half hour or around 6:30, said an emergency, can make it. So
Okay.
I'm here.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Okay.
That's an old picture. You guys recall from last time, almost the entire front brick wall collapsed.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And so what's left is actually is very similar to what you see to the left, which was the concrete wall that was behind the brick. There was a small portion that was remaining just before you got to the steps to go up.
Right.
And that turned, and then there was a large crack that separated kind of like this portion right here from the rest of it. When I had worked with Jose to resubmit to Brooke the request, Shortly thereafter, according to Jose, I haven't been at the property for a long time. He said someone from the county came up to the guys and said, "You got to take the rest of that brick down." And I think he did. He took it down to that where it cracked off. That's my understanding.
Okay.
I don't know if he finished it properly or not. I'm not sure what it looked like after that. That's my understanding from according to Jose. What's happened with the brick, and then the bushes was basically. I mean, obviously they cut them down, and Brooke said that they had to be replaced. It was just a question of what type bushes. So that's my understanding is what I'm here for.
Okay, thank you.
On behalf of Jose.
Okay.
All right.
Sure, we'll do it.
Mr. Chairman, a couple of things. Number one, can you pass along to Jose that there is still a boatload, and I mean a boatload of poison ivy right there? I mean, I walked it over there today, like right, there's just it's a hazard. It's
where is
right where the bushes were taken out. You got poison ivy growing all over the place there. It's just horrible.
You can see it in that picture where it sort of hangs down.
Right, but even with the bushes taken out, I mean, I went and looked today. What's growing back is poison ivy.
Of course.
So whoever's touching that, be careful.
Okay.
So, but second thing, before we get to the retaining wall, the last time you guys were here, we had a long discussion about the windows and
Yes.
the grids and the windows.
Yes. So he told me that the windows have been ordered. He had to order new windows. The
Okay.
manufacturer, which was I think Supreme Windows, I think they're in Bladensburg or Hyattsville, they said that they could not provide grids for that. So he went ahead and ordered new front windows.
Okay.
And he told me that those were, I guess he assumed it was going to come up today because he told me this on the phone. He said they're supposed to be arriving next week. So the house has already sold and changed hands, but Jose is expected to follow through on this.
Okay.
Yeah. While we're out here. So, okay. Make sure he follows through and does what he's supposed to do.
Okay.
So, before we decide anything about the wall, apparently the city was in contact because maybe a safety issue with the wall falling. Who were you contacted by?
You
I
said
don't
the
know.
county.
I asked
So-
him because that was the first thing I said was, well, who told you so that you're doing something.
Uh-huh.
And he wasn't there. He said one of his workers was there, and he never gave me the
Okay.
name. So I don't know. He didn't get a card or anything. He just said that someone came up there, said he was. I don't know if he said he was with the county. I don't have clear idea.
Right.
But he said someone told him that it was going to fall. It was a danger and it should be taken down.
Okay.
And that.
So I wonder if it was from the school because I heard that they were concerned because the kids walked past that wall, and the person was concerned of the safety of the kids that the wall, at least the bricks could fall over on kids as they were walking by.
Okay, so maybe that.
So my question, not even to get with aesthetics or removing brick or replacing brick, but do we know the condition of the concrete wall behind the brick? Does that need to be torn down and replaced?
I don't believe so. We had this discussion last time, and I think the lady who runs your inspection division had gone out there and said
She approved that the wall
Without a
is...
structural engineer, there's no way to be 100%, but from what she saw, she says it's safe, and she doesn't believe it's going to fall over.
I think the concrete wall is actually tied back into the berm, if I remember correctly. They built those townhouses there.
Yeah.
And then
Because
they faced it with brick is what they did.
Okay, I understand that, but it does look like it is leaning. And I don't know, can't believe that it would have been constructed that way.
Yeah.
Or if the pressure from
Yeah,
the
maybe
behind the
pressure.
wall, it doesn't have enough drainage or whatever, that's the pressure from the trees growing and the soil settling has pushed that wall to where it could potentially be a problem. Even if you put brick back up on it, if the wall behind it comes over. So that's my number one concern before we approve anything. What's the integrity of the wall?
But I think your observation is exactly what we all had observed, and that what happened at the last meeting is where the discussion got to that point, and the lady who had gone out there and said it appeared to be okay. So we.
But there's still a
Mr.
huge
Platoon, they can send somebody out from Dave Pope's shop again to look at it.
Do we have a structural engineer on staff, or?
But they can, we have engineers on retainer.
And was that before the rest of the brick was taken down? I mean, in other words, what the person would have seen
Yes.
might be different now that the other piece of the brick is down. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a good idea just to have.
Because
that.
it seemed to me there was a large. I mean, I just looked at it like just before this meeting, and there's a large crack sitting there.
Yeah.
And that would have been just, I guess, where you took the rest of the brick down. I mean,
actually, it was the crack. I believe was more towards the middle of the property, and the brick had already gone way past that. It was almost like I said, almost where you turned to go up the steps. The brick, that portion of the brick wall from the end of the property line, almost to the point where you go up the steps, has been falling. The crack was much further over towards the.
Yeah, I think I can see it in this picture we have, actually.
Okay, I'm not sure what picture you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, it's on the part of the wall that was originally, the brick was originally off of it.
Right.
But it's more toward the middle of that part, yeah.
Okay, so. Yeah, you could see the crack from when that first portion of the brick wall had fallen.
So the proposal is to not replace the brick, isn't that correct? And I'm a little puzzled on that since the rest of the townhouses all have brick. I mean, that's the design here, and as it is, it's not parged. It's just. I mean, there's the metal, whatever those things are that I assume might have been anchors for the brick, right? Or would that be anchors for? Isn't that anchors for the brick? Right. So you have a wall that basically would be showing the anchors for the brick in this kind of piece of concrete, whereas the rest of the houses have brick. So the obvious solution is to replace the brick. Seems to me. Is that why? Is there a reason that it's hard for you to answer at this point? I think because you're not involved in this. Is that?
Well, I mean, that's why Jose had to be here today, or I mean, why back here to discuss the brick wall.
Right.
You know, it's a question whether the brick had to be replaced. I mean, I think the whole concrete would have to come down. It doesn't do any good to put the brick right back up. It's going to fall down again.
Well, and that's a real that goes back to the original question of the integrity of the wall. I mean, if you can't put concrete up because it's not going to hold up because of the integrity of the wall in the first place, that kind of begs the question of the integrity of the wall.
Well, I mean, you could logically say that. And I'm not an engineer either, but it looks like the wall is okay and it's leaning. You're not going to put a straight brick wall up against the leaning concrete. So the concrete may still be fine, but obviously you're not going to build a leaning wall to it. So I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but if you look at it differently, you understand what I'm saying.
Well, when you look at the townhouses, you know, they're the groups of townhouses, and they all have brick in front of them, and that provides some cohesiveness. And without the brick on that end one, it stands out like a sore thumb. So I would like to see brick back there. However, that's made to happen, you know,
I mean,
safely.
Obviously, to the left of it.
That's not, right, but that's not a townhouse. That's the apartment building.
Right. I mean, also, it's going to be, if you go out there and look at it, you're going to see the other townhouses are going to have the same problem. Just
I understand
whether that has any concern with this, but
have
brick falling.
I'm dealing with another house that has different kinds of brick walls or walls that are all leaning out, some owned by my mother, some owned by other people, but adjacent to her property. So it's not unique to Montgomery Street here. There are lots of walls going ways we don't want them to go. How about that?
It's the nature of the beast, I think.
Right.
Really.
So if something happened to one of those walls, I would feel the same way. You know, how long is a wall supposed to last? You know, they've been there for 40 yeah, 44, 45, yeah, 44 years.
When you tell Mother Nature that to do something she doesn't want to do, she'll find a way.
So is there, in terms of construction though, is there a way to place these bricks, which are really decorative, pretty much, on there safely, securely? I mean, sort of, I don't know. It seems like to me that, like, if it were wood, I'd want to screw it onto the top of the, screw it down into the concrete from the top brick there. But it's not wood, it's brick. I don't know what you would do.
I mean, I think your problem is you have a failing wall. And I understand from a economy standpoint, you don't really want to have to replace the entire concrete. I think we get that. Unfortunately, you have a failing wall, and sometimes failing wall.
You're gonna have to do something.
Well, I guess if we assume it's not a failing wall, I guess is it? I mean, I guess the question is, are you saying you still want brick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really. I mean, that's what it's coming down.
Right.
And whether the brick can be put up with the existing wall or not, or the wall has to come down. I think the wall would have to come down. Maybe not necessarily because it's failing. Certainly it's leaning, but I don't think it's hit failure.
Right.
And I'm basing it more on someone else's opinion, not that I have the expert opinion.
Sure.
You're a person who understands, not the engineer, not a structural engineer. But I don't think you can rebuild it without taking the wall. You're just not going to have a straight.
It sounds like it would behoove the owner to get a structural engineer there. Minimally, whatever they're going to pay that person, especially if they conclude that it is safe and is structurally sound, then it was very much worth it to do that, rather than take down the.
And what I'm also hearing is, it sounds like this, because you said this house is already. You've already found a new owner for the house. And
the house is already sold.
You've. I mean, I think you gentlemen were flipping the house.
Yeah.
So you flipped the house, and so probably am I correct in saying a stipulation of the settlement or whatever was that the wall be fixed in some way, addressed.
It was that he would
address
it with whatever.
Right.
It comes up here. Yes.
Right. So it's not the new owner of the house.
No, it's not going to be the new owner's responsibility.
Sure.
Right, or the bushes.
Right. Or the poison ivy. God forbid.
Has to,
I don't know what we would be approving. We're not really approving anything. We've got to find out the integrity of the wall. And then we can move forward from there.
Well, I think we're actually saying we want them to replace the brick facade, and whether that requires a new wall or an ability to use the existing wall will depend on what is found. I think what we would approve is replacement of a brick wall, of a brick facade.
That is correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And the bushes.
And
so, putting up the brick facade, would that require a building permit? Mm-hmm.
Yes, because the brick is just decorative, not structural. Right. Okay.
Okay. So.
I guess sorry.
We need to find out the integrity of the wall, because you can't just put the bricks back up, because once water gets behind there and freezes, it will pop right apart and break. So you got to find out the integrity of the wall. If the wall is able to be reused, the concrete part, and you can brick veneer it, then that would be one way. But being that there's no inspection of just the brick veneer, I think we need to get a report from somebody that states that the wall is sound and is going to be stable.
Well,
I would make a motion that we request a structural engineer to look at the wall and Give us thumbs up or thumbs down.
Applicant, get a structural engineer to certify the wall.
Give us thumbs up or thumbs down, and then we can go forward with that.
Well, is there a way that we can it's to achieve your goals still, is that from our perspective, what we're really looking for is, I think, is that the structural part is not really
That's right.
is not our issue as a historic district. Is our issue is actually requiring the applicant to put a brick wall back, and
if that's not going to be,
say that, well, let's do it that way.
Yeah,
we'll have an engineer look at it, and if he says that we can keep the wall, if he writes a report saying we can keep the existing wall and somehow provide a brick veneer, we do it that way. And if he says we have to replace it, then we do that. I mean, Jose's not going to, Jose's not going to shortcut it. Yeah, just put a brick wall, it's going to fall down in a year.
Right.
That's just not.
yeah, I would be accepting of putting the brick veneer up also, but there's no inspection. There's no check and balance. I mean, you could throw a brick wall up and it could fall down in
that's not
6
what
months.
you,
Right. So I would feel more comfortable with requesting a structural engineer.
And that's fine.
So that what we can do, though, we can approve that the brick be put back up.
right.
And that way he doesn't have to come before us again. Because, again, put the brick up as long as the wall behind it is structurally sound. That way we don't delay that part of it any further for them, whether it's determined to be structural.
So
or you have
once
to
we get
replace
a report, and if the report says you got to replace everything, then we just have the green light to go ahead. We just
Sure,
need to know what that
because
is.
you've got to do that anyway. That's not our, you know.
So,
Is that something that the city can require? I mean, we can't require a structural.
Sure we can. Sure we can. If we're going to allow them to put a brick wall, veneer wall up, subject to somebody certifying if the wall's okay, it's going to rest again. That's all.
Well, that's what I said.
And that's,
Okay.
and that's
So,
up to Dave Pope will deal with
Exactly.
that in the city.
so the city would get it based on that report. If it's has to be torn down, then the city would have to issue a building permit and for inspection to put the wall back up.
And then they put the brick on top of it.
According to code, right?
They've got to replace some bushes too.
And
Yeah, well, that was okay. We'll get to that now.
Yeah.
You want to address that?
Yeah, you addressed it in your motion.
You just did, yeah.
Well, my question is, a question that I actually have is why we are requiring him to replace the bushes.
The bushes go on the top of the wall
I
so nobody falls over.
Right.
So
So it's a
there's
safety.
there's no railing involved there.
Well, is there? Can you move the picture
There's
down
none
the
next
road a little
door.
bit?
There's bushes.
Well,
At the yard next door, there's a wide expanse of.
Right. That's my question. Is why are we require? I don't think most.
Well,
of,
don't request it. I'm just suggesting there was bushes there to start with. Is that correct?
yeah, but I think that's a.
It was a landscape issue that the planning commission approved when they approved the brick veneer, the wall, the townhouses 40-some years ago. I was on the planning commission then.
I'm not.
Okay?
I'm not
And again, it had to do with the fact that this was a steep grade, so you had to have a wall there.
I understand. I'm just saying that it.
Okay, then just forget the bushes. Let them fall off the edge.
I don't think people are running out to the edge of the house there.
Are there any plans? Let's ask you. Are there plans to replace the bushes with anything?
There were.
No plans.
No.
Just going to put
According
grass.
to Jose, they were cut down. I did see them after they were cut, and they're down to a certain height. He thought they would eventually regrow.
Right.
But,
Please get rid of the poison ivy, though. They're really, that's my personal, really, you got, seriously, that's, I feel strong about bushes. These particular bushes, these are not boxwood, they're nothing, and the house next door doesn't even have them, and half the houses don't have them going down the street there, so that's not a.
Well, let me just say this. The ones in the next house down got pulled out. All those houses that had a wall had bushes along them. You go look at the landscape plan for this property, okay? And it had to do with the fact there was a wall there. has to do with steps and walls and all that stuff. I don't remember exactly. But I was on the planning commission when we approved this.
Wouldn't that add to the difficulty with the wall too, having roots and things growing down in there?
But potentially,
I've
but
said
I'm
enough.
not sure
I've
about
said
the pervasiveness of those roots of bushes as opposed to trees. But I don't know that they would push a concrete wall down, but it's possible.
Well, there used to be trees out front here too that they've cut down.
Right.
But again, the bushes and the wall and the brick veneer was all part of the landscape plan, townhouses, on this side. Okay, it had to do with the grade.
Okay. Well, if anyone is interested in formulating a motion, I would love to hear it.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we approve HDC 084-2019 as once the city receives a report from a structural engineer with the integrity of the wall, that we would give the approval either to put a new wall, new retaining wall with a brick veneer, with matching the brick as closely as can be matched. I don't know if you're going to get that same brick. Or if the retaining wall is structurally sound, to brick veneer that with bricks that would be matching as close as possible. As far as the bushes, I would leave that up to the applicant, or as if they wanted to put a bush row back.
I'll second that.
Okay. Brooke, we have a motion to approve with the stipulations and a second by Ms. McPhee.
Mr. Cocoon?
Yes.
Ms. McPhee?
Yes.
Councilmember Les?
Abstain.
Ms. Lubinecki?
Yes.
Chairman Hayes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't know if he's realized he did not paint the siding. Remember last time you were
Yeah,
you
yeah,
weren't happy with that
yeah.
idea? He cleaned it and it
Good job.
Getting better.
Thanks.
No, I mean, it's
Thank
looking
you.
very nice. You put a deck on the back and everything. It looks, did you put a deck?
was a deck.
Oh, and yeah,
It looks better.
it looks fine.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the staff approvals that everyone has already seen already, or in kind. Any comments about these are welcome. If not, we'll move on to agenda item number 10, new business. I attended the 40th annual Maryland Association of Historic District Commissions Symposium in Frederick on Saturday. They had their annual meeting there also, and they were celebrating the 40th year of that association's birth. And unknown to me at the time, and I think I talked to people about this already here, that our own Jim Boss, who was a founding member of this association and helped write the bylaws for it, and they recognized him at the meeting.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, they had a picture. I'll show you the picture. I took a picture of the picture. Had a picture with Harry Hughes there and some other people, but you know, Jim is a very recognizable person.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. They also talked. We had the afternoon keynote was about climate change affecting historic places, and the fact that we're now in the same climate zone that Georgia and South Carolina were 50 years, 100 years ago, whatever, is that we're starting to see this, I forget the name of the type of termite that is just this will take over and take down houses and anything wood very quickly. And of course, the other thing that's moving north is kudzu, which we all know can also get its tendrils into brick and wood and whatever and tear a building down pretty quick. Well, so you know they were putting the fear of climate change into us there, but was interesting to listen to the fact that there's, that there will be mitigation, but it probably won't be until the time that it's happening, and we're going to lose a lot. Is what they're saying. It was an interesting meeting, and sort of met with a couple of people, talked to them about, we commiserated, and also had positive things to say about things that we're doing. So that's my brief report on that.
Generated your list.
It helped me. It helped. Yeah, the letter to mayor. Oh yeah. I mean, I had formulated some of that previously. I got a couple of tidbits put in well. And I know that I promised a work session, but my life got complicated in the past month or two. But I will schedule a work session soon. Adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.